With the 2025 NBA season in the books and the 2026 NBA season around the corner, I wanted to give you guys 15 players that I think could break out next year. And some of these guys could just be young players that could just be elevating themselves into a new tier and maybe becoming more of a franchise foundational building block, or maybe they're already an all-star caliber player and they're going to go from maybe a top 30 player in the league to maybe a top 15 player in the league. So the first player I want to talk about, you may already know his brother, and that is Ausar Thompson. Obviously the brother of Immanuel Thompson. Ausar Thompson had a productive rookie season for the Pistons back in 2024. He shot 48% from the field, averaged 8.8 points and 6.4 rebounds, as well as 2 stocks a night. But unfortunately for Ausar, in March of 2024, he was diagnosed with a blood clot, and that ended his rookie season, and he wasn't able to resume basketball activities till later in that year and was fully cleared to play in November of 2024. So he already got off to a later start in year number 2. Therefore, he only appeared in 59 games, just 22 minutes a night, as he was getting ramped up back into his sophomore season. His numbers looked a lot better in year number 2. He went up to 10 points a night. He had 5 rebounds, 1.7 steals, and shot 53% from the field. But as the season went along, he got better and better as he became more comfortable out there in year number 2. He finished off the season on a strong note as well, and I thought was a very good player against the Knicks in round number 1. He did a very solid job on Jalen Brunson, doing as well as you could on somebody that is the most clutch player in the NBA. And I'm very excited on Ausar Thompson going into year number 2. There could be another breakout on the Pistons. It could end up being Jaden Ivey or a year 2 Ron Holland, but I think now that Ausar Thompson is fully healthy, he has the exact same athleticism as his brother Amen. He could become very similar to what Amen Thompson was in 2025 in the 2026 season, and I'm really excited to watch him around Cade Cunningham next year. And the thing Ausar Thompson can't really do well is shoot the ball, but my next player I think could be one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA next year, and that is Bryce Sensabaugh of the Utah Jazz. In a similar way to Ausar Thompson, Sensabaugh has dealt with a ton of injuries in his career. He was banged up coming out of Ohio State, and that allowed him to drop in the 2023 draft, where he fell to the 28th overall pick, somebody that was a fringe lottery talent leading up to the draft. And he really struggled in his rookie season, 39% from the field, 29% from 3, and was up and down from the G League. But last year in 71 games, Bryce Sensabaugh in 20 minutes a night shot 46% from the field, 42% from 3 on 5 attempts a night, and averaged 11 points, 3 rebounds, and shot 89% from the free throw line. And it was also tough for Bryce Sensabaugh to get a ton of touches in Utah. Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, Keontae George were all getting shots on the perimeter, as well as guys like John Collins when he was healthy, or Valerie Markkanen. And Sensabaugh finished off the season on a great note as well. And then he appeared in 2 Summer League games in Salt Lake City before the Vegas Summer League games, and he averaged 28 points, 5.5 rebounds in 27 minutes per game, and he hit 58% of his 3-point attempts. He looked like he was the best player on the court. And now with Colin Sexton in Charlotte, Jordan Clarkson in New York, John Collins in Los Angeles, there's going to be plenty of touches for Bryce Sensabaugh on the perimeter. And I would not be shocked if he was like the second most intriguing young player on this team, at least in terms of wings next year after Ace Bailey. And I'm really excited to watch Bryce Sensabaugh in year number 3. Hopefully he's going to be fully healthy and gets a ton of opportunities. We got a trend here at the start here. My next guy was banged up in his rookie season last year. It's going to be my first sophomore that I'm going to mention, and that is going to be Devin Carter of the Sacramento Kings. And Devin Carter had a serious shoulder injury going into his rookie season, and he didn't debut for the Sacramento Kings until January. And Devin Carter really struggled getting to the spots he needs to be on the floor. He really struggled with his 3-point shot and finished his rookie season with abysmal numbers. He averaged 3.8 points in around 11 minutes a night in 36 games. He shot 37% from the field, 29% from 3, and 59% from the free throw line. And I thought that was just a shame, just because Devin Carter was one of my favorite prospects coming out of Providence into the 2024 draft class. He's somebody that could be a great role player from day one and could help a team on the margins and even be a major impact player in the playoffs if he ever got there. And he didn't have a summer league last year. He didn't have a preseason, no ramp up whatsoever because of the shoulder injury, but he looked the part this year in summer league for a Sacramento Kings team that made it to the summer league championship. He shot around 29% from 3 and 40% from the field, but I thought looked very encouraging with his 3-point shot. He showed aggressiveness, confidence, and good shot selection. Averaged 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.7 steals. He looks healthy finally, and I think could be a major impact player for the Sacramento Kings in 2026. Who knows what the Kings are going to look like next year at the end of the season, but I definitely think Devin Carter will be a big part of their future in some way, shape, or form. With Mark Williams now in Phoenix, there's definitely a wide open center competition for the Charlotte Hornets next year, and I'm a big believer in Musa Diabate for the Hornets. He's 23 years old. He was drafted by the LA Clippers with the 43rd overall pick back in in the 2022 draft. He only played in 33 games with the Clippers in his first 2 seasons, and then signed a 2-way contract with the Charlotte Hornets in the 2024 offseason, and he was very solid for the Hornets last year, where that got converted to a regular contract. He appeared in 71 games for the Charlotte Hornets in about 17.5 minutes a night. He shot 60% from the field, averaged 5.7 points and 6.2 rebounds, but he was mainly a backup or a third string center for the Hornets at times. So if you look at his per 36 numbers, it would be around 12 points and 13 rebounds a night, and also 2.5 stocks. He's a great athlete. He's a monster on the glass. He's still just 23 years old. And yeah, I think Mason Plumlee or Ryan Kalkbrenner, who they just drafted, could end up as their opening night starting center. But I'm a big believer in Musa Diabate. I think he sets good screens. I think he runs exceptionally well for somebody that's almost 7 feet tall. And I think there's something there. He's never going to be somebody that's going to create his own shot or be a versatile offensive player. But I think for LaMelo Ball and some of their guards going forward, he could be a good screen setter, a good lob threat, and a monster on the offensive and defensive glass. And you know what? I'm going to give the Charlotte Hornets some love just because they won the Summer League Championship. I'm going to talk about 2 Hornets. The next one up, you may just kind of be down on him after a banged up sophomore season. I'm going to talk about Brandon Miller. Yeah, if you're selling any Brandon Miller stock, I'm buying it, because I thought Brandon Miller was phenomenal in his rookie season for a very dysfunctional Charlotte Hornets team. They traded off a lot of their veterans like Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington, and Terry Rozier that season, and they were ushering a new era of Charlotte Hornets basketball. And I thought he looked the part. I thought he showed 3-level scoring potential. He averaged 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and shot 44% from the field, 37% from 3, and 82% from the free throw line. And then he was very banged up in his sophomore season. He had a hip injury in October, a shoulder injury in November, back-to-back ankle injuries in December, and his season ended with a wrist injury in January. So he was just getting hit from so many different ways, and it was unfortunate for him as well. And that Hornets team, when you were watching them, not a lot of guys could create their own shot or create separation, and that's why LaMelo's shot selection had to be so intense. And same with Brandon Miller's. He still shot 36% from 3 on 11 attempts a night, and shot 40% from the field and 86% from the free throw line. He did average 21 points, 3.5 assists, and 5 rebounds. But now that this Hornets team is getting healthier, they added Colin Sexton. Trey Mann's going to be back next year. There's going to be some other shot creators as well that can take some of the load off Brandon Miller. At 22 years old, he finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting in 2024 behind Wemby and Chet Holmgren. I think he could turn into one of the best young wings in the NBA in 2026. And I may be more excited about Brandon Miller in Charlotte than I am of LaMelo Ball. So shout out to Brandon Miller and Musa Diabate for making this list. I wanted to talk about a Portland Trailblazer, and I do feel like Denny of Dia broke out last year. Same with Tumani Kamara. I'm going to talk about Shaedon Sharpe. And I know when I made a video like this last year, I talked about Shaedon Sharpe, but I'm very excited about Shaedon Sharpe here going into year number 4. It's still to be determined if Shaedon Sharpe is going to get an extension from the Blazers this offseason. They traded for Drew Holiday. They brought back Damian Lillard, who's not going to play in the 2026 season. So there's still not a clear opportunity for Shaedon Sharpe to be a franchise player here. He really needs to take advantage of the 2026 season, but he's still 22 years old. He's finally healthy after being banged up in year number 2 and the start of year number 3. He played in 72 games last year, averaged 18.5 points and 4.5 rebounds, but I was very impressed by Shaedon Sharpe in the second half of the season. When the Portland Trailblazers were playing great basketball, everybody was kind of talking about Denny of Dia and Tumani Kamara and a little bit of Scoot Henderson, but I was very impressed by Shaedon Sharpe's post-All-Star break numbers. In 25 games, averaged 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.5 assists after the All-Star break. Those are very encouraging numbers for somebody that was 21 years old. He has all the athleticism to be somebody that's a lethal threat at the rim. If his 3-point shot could just get a little bit better this year, he can average 20 points per game and maybe even lead the Portland Trailblazers in scoring this year. Yeah, more points than Denny of Dia. Somebody that's going to score a lot more this year just because there is a major injury and a major departure for a team that was just in the NBA Finals. I'm talking about Bennedict Mathurin of the Indiana Pacers. With Haliburton out all of next year, Miles Turner's in Milwaukee, there's a good chance Bennedict Mathurin can average 20 points per game in the 2026 season, and I believe in the efficiency from Bennedict Mathurin. Now, it may not be the most consistent scoring. You're definitely asking a lot for somebody that's 23 years old, that has not been a top 3 scoring option at any point in his career yet, to now be a number 2 scoring option. And who knows, if there's an injury to Pascal Siakam next year at any time, Bennedict Mathurin is going to be the number 1 option. So he's going to be guarded by guys like Tumani Kamara or Amen Thompson if they're playing one of those teams as the number 1 option. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Bennedict Mathurin responds, but he's somebody that plays very well under pressure. He's in a contract year. He might not get extended this offseason like Shaedon Sharpe, also from that 2022 draft class. So he's playing for a major payday in the 2026 offseason, and he could take advantage of his opportunities with the increase in shot attempts. And I'm very excited to watch Bennedict Mathurin in a scaled up role. We'll see if the efficiency can stay the same or get a little bit better, as he's going to have a lot more touches next year. Next up, I want to talk about somebody that a lot of people are high on after his summer league performance, Terrence Shannon Jr. of the Minnesota Timberwolves. With Nickeil Alexander-Walker in Minnesota in 2025, Shannon Jr. wasn't asked to do a whole lot. He appeared in 32 games, a lot of garbage time, just 10 minutes a night, but he was called up upon in the conference finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder and was an impact player. He had 15 points in that game 3 performance in just 13 minutes, and when they lost in game number 5, he had 11 points in 15 minutes. He is going to be a little bit older. He's going to be 25 years old very soon, so this may be the best we're going to see of Terrence Shannon Jr. in his career, but he just had a monster summer league where he averaged 22.7 points in 29 minutes a game. He averaged 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.7 steals on elite efficiency for summer league play at this volume. 47% from the field, 38.5% from 3, and 95% from the free throw line. I am so excited to watch Terrence Shannon Jr. in Minnesota next year because Nickeil Alexander-Walker's in Atlanta. They need somebody to replace those minutes and be that intense two-way player coming off the bench, and I think Shannon Jr. can provide that for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think he's going to average more points than somebody like a Bennedict Mathurin or Shaedon Sharpe that we talked about, but can he average 8 to 9 points a night on good efficiency, be a good transition player, and give them good defensive minutes as well? I believe in Terrence Shannon Jr. to be a real rotational piece for a Timberwolves team that should be a top 6 seed in the West next year. I said this player was going to be the most improved player a year ago for the 2025 season, and he was banged up a ton, and it just didn't work out. I'm going to talk about Immanuel Quickley as finally a breakout for the 2026 season. He had a bunch of injuries in the 2025 campaign. He had a pelvis injury in October, an elbow injury in November, and a hip injury in January, and that forced Immanuel Quickley just to appear in 33 games in his first full season in Toronto. He looked the part after getting traded to the Raptors in 2024, but also averaged 18.5 points and 7 assists. Last year in 33 games, he averaged 17 points, 6 assists, was an elite free throw shooter at 87%, and I still think Immanuel Quickley is an underrated defender. Yes, he's a little bit overpaid right now given his production, but he was banged up a ton last year, and that gave him a very difficult start to his first full year in Toronto. I know they added Brandon Ingram along the way, and I don't think Immanuel Quickley is going to average 18 points per game, but I still think he can average 6+ assists a night. I still think he could be an elite 3-point shooter and a very good defender. We'll see how he's going to be finishing at the rim, but I think this is a year Immanuel Quickley can prove that he is a long-term starting point guard in this league. Let's get a little more deep cut here, and let's talk about Noah Clowney of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, the Nets' young core last year was not great, and it's still up in the air on how these 5 first-round picks are going to look like in their rookie season this year, but I thought Noah Clowney was a very intriguing Brooklyn Net in 2025. He averaged 9 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 84% from the free throw line. Now, he did shoot 33% from 3 on 6 attempts a night. He did struggle finishing at the rim and within the 3-point line, but his numbers dropped off after they traded away guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and more specifically Dennis Schroeder. And the one thing that these incoming rookies do very well, facilitate and initiate and find the open man. Noah Clowney is going to have a lot of open looks next year because Yegor Jamin, Nolan Traore, Ben Saraff, and Danny Wolf all know how to pass the ball. Now, Michael Porter Jr. and you assume Cam Thomas is back. They don't like to pass the ball as much, but I do think they can draw the gravity from the opposing team's defense and allow Noah Clowney to get some very good looks, specifically from 3. I buy the shot. I think it looks very impressive. I liked what I saw at times in 2025. I don't think he's going to be a rising young star by any means, but I do think at 21 years old, that's 6'10", he could be a nice floor spacing 4 or 5 next year for Brooklyn. He's going to have the opportunity to do so, and I do believe in the shot bouncing back slightly in 2026. Let's talk about my second sophomore player here, Matas Buzelis of the Chicago Bulls. Buzelis, I thought, was so impressive in his rookie season. I had a lot of speculation for him in year number 1. He couldn't really create a lot of separation at the G League Ignite. He was a terrible shooter over there as well, and he was going to a team that hasn't had the best development track record over the last decade. But Buzelis was very impressive as a rookie, given his size, his ball handling ability, and his athleticism and finishing at the rim. He got better and better as the months went along. They traded away DeMar DeRozan before he ended up playing, and they traded away Zach LaVine at a point last year as well. It took a little bit of time for him to get into a groove, and he definitely benefited by playing with Josh Giddey, one of the best initiators and passers in the NBA. And Buzelis was great in the summer league as well, where he just appeared in 2 games but averaged 22.5 points, 5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and shot 85% from the free throw line. I'm going to assume Josh Giddey's back with the Bulls next year. We'll see if there's still going to be some type of Kobe White or Ida Sumu or Nikola Vucevic trade this offseason. Either way, I think Buzelis' numbers will go up next year, and he's going to be one of the more rising young stars at the forward position in the NBA. Denver got a lot better this offseason. They added Cam Johnson, they added Bruce Brown, Tim Hardaway Jr., Deron Holmes is going to be coming back. They added Jonas Valanciunas, but somebody that I'm very high on going into year number 3, Julian Strawther. Julian Strawther was the 29th overall pick in that 2023 draft. He's going to be 23 years old next season, and I thought he was going to be somewhat of a breakout candidate last year for the Nuggets, and I would say he was a good player throughout the regular season. 21 minutes, shot 43% from the field, up from 36% from the field as a rookie. He shot 35% from 3 last year on 4 attempts a night, given that he shot 29% from 3 as a rookie. He doubled his points, going from 4.5 to 9 a night. He averaged 2 rebounds and wasn't really trusted whatsoever against the Clippers in round number 1 after having a poor game 3 performance, but he showed out a little bit against the OKC Thunder and played a lot in game number 2, played a lot in game 6 and 7 as well. And that game 6 performance made me very excited about Strawther next year. He had 15 points. He was perfect from the free throw line, 50% from the field, went 3 of 4 from 3. I thought was active on the defensive end of the floor, and I think it'd be a vital part of the Nuggets' deeper roster in 2026, and I'm excited to watch him get better and better around Nikola Jokic. I'm going to talk about another player from the 2023 draft class. He was a second rounder in that class, Gigi Jackson. Gigi was one of the younger players in that 2023 draft class, a very raw player coming out of South Carolina, but with all the injuries to Memphis in 2024, he took advantage of his opportunities. 14.5 points, 4 rebounds, and shot 36% from 3. But unfortunately for Gigi, he had surgery in September leading up to his sophomore season where he had a broken foot and didn't debut for the Memphis Grizzlies until January. And it struggled for him to get acclimated into things. He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have a true training camp to get ramped up, where he was now going to be playing with Ja Morant and guys that were all banged up in that 2024 season. And he's still just 20 years old. They traded away Desmond Bane. They bought out Cole Anthony. There already may be an injury to Jaren Jackson Jr. I think now that he's going to have a full summer league that he just performed in, a preseason, a training camp, and he's going to be healthy going into year number 3. I like Gigi a lot. My final 2 players are definitely going to be the best 2 players that we're going to talk about in this video that I think can elevate themselves into all-stars to maybe all NBA talents next year. First one, he just won an NBA title with the Thunder. He just got rewarded a max contract. Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren did not play at all in his rookie season. Then he finished runner-up to Wemby after playing 82 games in his real rookie season in 2024, and then he suffered a hip injury when I thought he was going to be one of the best defenders in 2025. He did struggle at times on the offensive and defensive glass in the 2024 playoffs, but I thought was great in 2025. He was really good as a rebounder against the Denver Nuggets. And yes, he struggled a little bit with his efficiency in the NBA Finals, but a lot of players' efficiency do drop off when it's on the biggest stage. He's still 23 years old. He's going to be fully healthy going into year number 3, and I think could become one of the best 2-way players overall in the NBA next year, and could maybe even be a sneaky depoy candidate. And the last player I'm going to talk about, Paolo Banchero, somebody that was in the same draft class of Chet Holmgren. He went 1 pick ahead of Chet, and I'm so excited about Paolo going into year number 4. Paolo looked like he was going to be an all-NBA player at the start of last year's season, but then unfortunately he suffered that abdominal injury, and he was out all the way until the mid part of January. He struggled when he came back. I thought he got rushed a little bit when he came back, and he didn't look the part. It still looked like he was playing somewhat hurt, but man, I was so intrigued about March Paolo Banchero, where in 15 games, 50% from the field, 35% from 3, 80% from the free throw line, a 61% true shooting on a 33% usage rate, and averaged 30 points, 7.5 rebounds, and finished the season off on a fantastic note after the All-Star break. 29 points, 8 rebounds, 4.5 assists in 24 games, and I think could be an all-NBA second-team player or better this upcoming season. The Magic could be a surprise 1 seed after adding Desmond Bane, Jace Richardson, and fixing their shooting in the 2025 offseason. And if he's going to be fully healthy going into year number 4, Paolo can have a top 10 season in the NBA, and I'm really excited on what he could be, still just 22 years old. So that is going to be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know any other breakout candidates that you think could be on display in the 2026 season. Drop a thumbs up if you guys did enjoy. If this gets over 1,500 likes, I'll do a breakout player for every single NBA team video. I know there's a bunch of teams I didn't talk about here, so if you want to see that, just drop a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.